Hey, good evening and welcome to all you crazy. I shouldn't call you guys crazy because you're not crazy because you are part of the Viking Nation, the best fan base on the planet by far. Now, I admit I might be a little biased, right? But listen, we're in the Viking Nation. It's all Lowndes all the time here, and we want to thank you for being with us tonight. First of all, before we get into our agenda for tonight and bring on our guest, we want to make sure we thank our sponsors that who make all this possible. We want to thank Winn Dixie of Valdosta. We want to thank A Shade of Perfection and G Nation Media as well. Listen, I have some really, really good news and kind of bad news. Now, I'll lead with the bad news. The bad news is we're not going to do the big summertime giveaway drawing tonight, but there's a good reason for that. The demand was so great for that people asked us to go ahead and extend the deadline so let more people enter things. So we've heard you, and we're going to do exactly that. So I don't know if it's ever been done before in a major giveaway like that. We're actually extending the deadline, and we're going to do the drawing next week instead to give a few more people a chance to enter it. Remember, all you have to do to enter it is download the Winn Dixie Rewards app onto your smartphone. Go up there to Winn Dixie of Valdosta right there at 5 Points. Show the customer service folks there that you've got the app on your phone, and they enter you into the drawing. That's it. And remember the things that we're giving away. We're giving away a 40-inch flat screen TV, a pellet grill, which has got a $400 value to it, right? Nice basketball set. So great, great stuff that's going on. And we want to thank Clint Haynes and the folks there at Winn Dixie at Valdosta. That's also being sponsored by Pepsi as well. So anyway, welcome to the show tonight, guys. This is around the nation where you guys know what we do by now. We talk about Lowndes athletics because right here in Valdosta, Georgia, in Lowndes County, athletics never sleeps, football never sleeps. And we appreciate you being here tonight. So we posted, so let me go ahead and bring our super fans onto the screen because we got a lot to talk about. So as you guys know by now, this is Chris Bisher. You know, we picked him up on the trade wires, things like that. Super fan. So Chris Bisher, welcome. You're also the president of the Bridgman Booster Club. So welcome back and joining our super fan.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
The other super fan that you guys know and love by now, who's got a wild looking shirt that appears on the screen tonight, the one and only Mr. Billy Pierce. How are you,
Hey,
Billy? How are you, Chris?
we're going good.
Well, that's great, man. Listen, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We really do. We're going to get into the arms race that appears to be heating up in Region 17A. We've got the I can't remember if 7-on-7s was a big emphasis in years past under Coach McPherson, but it seems to be a big priority for our new captain, Jamie DuBose, because today the Lowndes squad left for Hoover, Alabama to take part in their national 7-on-7. You remember a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, they were up in the Atlanta area at the Collins Hill 7-on-7, came in, made it all the way to the semifinals in a field of 22.
Sixth. I think they finished sixth in that one.
The Collins Hill one?
Yeah, I think they finished fifth or sixth in that one.
Well, they made it to the semifinals, so they were in the top four.
Yeah.
So they left today, I believe, to go up to Hoover, Alabama, and I think there's I want to say 32 teams.
Wow.
In it, that kind of stuff. So it's a really big deal. Coach DuBose is putting a major emphasis on improving and putting more of a focus on passing. You know, he's still a big time running type of coach, but he wants to balance it a little bit more with improving our passing game as well. So anyway, so we're going to talk about that tonight as well. And when we get into our super fan part of the discussion, we're going to kind of spill the beans on a major announcement that was just agreed upon, I believe, this week. And it involves a big-time television deal for our Lowndes Vikings. And we'll get into some of those details a little bit later on. So, guys, if you're used to watching the first 20, 30 minutes of the show, you're going to want to stick around. That's what we call a tease, right? So you're going to want to stick around and watch the other part of the show as well. Because I'm going to start doing it because I see what you guys are doing. You're getting on here about 30 minutes into the show. You're watching our interviews with a guest, and then you're going to eat dinner with your family, putting a priority with them over the Viking Nation. That's just wrong. In my opinion, that's just wrong. Y'all should stick around for the full hour. What do you guys think?
I think Chris Bisher needs to wear some sunscreen. He's got a little bit of sunburn this afternoon. Was it hot out there?
Listen,
it has something to do with that.
Listen, at 8 o'clock this morning when I was making sure the band bar and everything was open, and the gnats were out in full force, and I thought, oh, it's going to be one of those days.
I hear you.
Well, as a band parent, I appreciate what you do, Chris. I really do.
Listen,
sunburn and all.
Well, listen, we got an army of volunteers, and we could not do this without them, and they're much appreciated.
Yeah. So Ray Oliver says that y'all can't hear me very well. Let me get this microphone a little bit closer to my mouth. Ray, is that any better? I just turned my gain up on my microphone as well. How about that? Can you guys hear me pretty good?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you better now, Larry.
I got you. Okay, good. So anyway, listen, let's go ahead and announce the giveaway. You guys know it by now, right? If you guys want to enter this week's drawing for the giveaway, that is, go ahead and our guest, I'm not going to say who it is yet, but our guest who's watching in the backstage now, if you want to drive all the way down to Valdosta in case you win this thing and pick up our prize, go ahead and enter this. You guys know what to do by now, right? Go to the comments section and type in #OneLounge because we're a One Lounge community here. #OneLounge into the comments to enter for your chance to win this Winn-Dixie Stuff the Bucket drawing at the end of the show. So good luck to everybody. So without further ado, I've been kind of stalling, just kind of trying to build up this suspense because this guy, he doesn't need any hype. But so I wanted to hype him up a little bit just because I kind of announced it already in the little advertisement that I put out there on the Viking Nation yesterday or the day before, who we're bringing on as a guest. But guys, we've got one of our former stud linebackers at Lowndes High. He doesn't need any more introduction. When you hear the name, you automatically think linebacker high, right? And that is none other than Mr. Tre Jackson. Tre, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Larry. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Listen, we are excited to have you join us tonight. We really are. This is going to be awesome. It really is.
Oh, no, it's a privilege. Definitely a privilege. I appreciate it. I watch the show, honestly, every time I come home and I'm on Facebook and I see it pop up, I make sure to at least tune in for a little while, see what you guys are up to back at home.
I got you. Listen, I know you're living up there in the metro Atlanta area, and you might be rubbing elbows with college recruiters coming through the high school that you're at now. Tell them about this show. Remind them about little old Lowndes High down here. We got some good football players that need some attention, so we need you to do your part.
Oh, trust me, there is no reminding needed. Trust me, everyone knows about Lowndes, and it's funny because at the school that I was at last year coaching. I said, hey, coach, you going to throw Lowndes on the schedule this year? He said, no, I don't want none of that. I'm going to stay away from that. He said, we don't want none of that. I said, yeah, it's probably a good idea. So, trust me, there's no reminder needed up here. They know exactly who Lowndes is.
I hear you, man. I hear you. So, listen, we're going to take a little walk down memory lane with you and talk about some of your time at Lowndes before we get kind of caught up with you and find out what you're up to nowadays because you got some exciting stuff going on today. But before we do get there, let's talk about your time at Lowndes and what you remember and things like that. Okay. Now I promised you a surprise, so I'm gonna get your reaction. I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can see. So this is from your sophomore year, right? Remember this?
Oh, gosh.
These are the Tre Jackson highlights, courtesy of our mutual friend Mikey Davis. This is on his YouTube channel, I believe. And so this is Tre Jackson, and right here, I don't know if you can see my cursor on the screen. Right here on the right side of the linebacker court, right there is Mr. Tre Jackson. Here, I'm gonna press play and see if you remember some of these plays.
Oh my gosh.
Look at the ball hawk, Tre Jackson. I mean, the quarterback's already checking off, and he knows you're coming. Look at this. Look at this. Wham!
Man, I used to love when they run the ball. I used to love when they run because I just took so much pride in studying their runs. I really did, and
Yep.
I'd love when they just try to run at us.
Let me ask you a question. You were known as Mr. Linebacker coming up through the system, right? And when you got to the varsity level, I mean, you started as a linebacker your sophomore year. Is that something that you just had a natural instinct for the ball? Was that taught to you by a coach, or how did that kind of talent develop?
That's a really good question. I really feel like that I had a lot of people as I was growing up install the passion of just simply playing the game of football throughout the years. And as I developed and I got older and I started to really gain the intelligence and the football IQ, if you will, the passion just continued to grow with it. So the intensity just sort of came naturally at that point. When you understand what's going on, when you understand and you study and you prepare so much and you work hard in practice to make the game easy, you get into the game and the first thing you say is, please run it at me, please, or please throw it in my direction, because you know what to do. You're confident in what you do. And honestly, you feel like you honestly, I tell my players this all the time. You literally have to walk on the field knowing and believing that you're the best possible player they could ever put on that field.
Wow.
That's how you have to feel. And inside, you don't have to gloat about it. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to just show it. Show it in the way that you run to the football. Show it in the way that you command your team. Show it in the way that you celebrate with your teammates. And when you make plays, have fun. When it's all about the passion that you bring to the game, and that the game brings your team and the individuals that get to play it. And then honestly, like I said, as I continue to develop and continue to grow, the intensity, the passion continue to grow. And I've got to say that I've had excellent, passionate coaches. Coach Randy McPherson, Coach Fred Carlo, he was one of my very first football coaches, Coach Quinn, Coach Creel. I mean, I had all these incredible coaches that came and coached me throughout my life, whether it was on the field or off the field. And they installed just a little bit each day, more and more passion into me. And honestly, at the end of the day, I felt as if I was at another level every time I walked onto the field. And that's how I chose to play every snap.
I got you. So, as these younger linebackers are coming up through the Lowndes system, what would you say to them to focus on? I mean, you got a lot of experience, and I'm sure you can teach young guys a lot of stuff.
I try to, but I think one of the best things that I could possibly tell them is you got to learn how to control the things that you can control, and that goes everywhere from your strength, your speed, your IQ, to things that happen to you in life as well. The adversity that you deal with, the bad plays you make, the bad calls you make. If you're commanding your defense and you line them up incorrectly, control the things that you can control. Don't worry about the external things that you can't control. I'm 5'8" 3/4. Nobody will ever let me forget it. They know that I'm short. They let me know. But go ahead.
Well, I'm glad you said something like that, because nowadays we hear that major D1 schools are looking for metrics out of their players, like you got to be 6'3", you got to be 215 pounds, 230 pounds. But like you just said, you were 5'8" 3/4, but you packed a punch like a running back coming at you knew that he was about to run into a brick wall. Right?
Absolutely. And it's funny, that's why my grandfather called me Stonewall Jackson because he said every time somebody hit me or I hit them, they either stayed still or they were going backwards. They weren't going forward anymore. You know, that was the standard. And, you know, it really is funny. You know, you're absolutely right. Coaches, you know, they do focus on the metrics. They want, you know, 6-foot guys. You know, unfortunately, there was one school that walked into our, you know, and I know exactly who they are. I won't name them or anything like that. But there was one school that walked into our field house and walked up to Coach Terry Quinn and said, "You got any guys that, you know, can play at the D1 level?" And he said, "Well, I've got a linebacker." You know, talking about me. He said, "Okay, well, you know, how much does he weigh?" And at the time, I think I weighed 225, 230, something like that. They said, "Okay, well, how tall is he?" He said about 5. He gave me a couple inches. He said he's about 5'10". No, absolute no way I was 5'10" by any means. But, you know, as soon as they heard him say that, they said, "Coach, you know, we really don't want to look at film of anybody under 6 foot." And
Wow.
it's sad. It's sad, you know, because Coach Quinn told me that. And Coach Quinn is always, man, if you ever get a chance to be coached by Coach Quinn, you're in for a treat. I mean, it really is.
He kind of knows a little bit about linebackers, don't he?
Just that much. Just that much.
And if he tells you can play D1, you can play D1. He knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
Well, he's played D1. He's got a son playing D1 now. He's got all kinds of defensive guys like yourself that have gone to the D1 route. So he knows a little bit of something about it.
Yeah, gone to the NFL, gone everywhere. And it's definitely a privilege to be coached by him because, you know, he's not gonna sugarcoat anything. You know, what he says to you, you can take it. You know, take it and stick it in your pocket and run with it. But, you know, it's that's what he told me, and he's always been transparent with me throughout my entire recruiting career. What I needed to do, how I needed to act, what I needed to work on, and what happened. You know, when I wasn't there with recruits and things like that, or recruiting coaches and things like that. And fortunately, he taught me, as well as other people that I have influenced my life, as well as my mom. I was raised by a single mom. He taught me to control the things that I could control and play through the adversity. The adversity being my height, the adversity being, you know, how long my arms are, the adversity being how you know, I told you they measured my hands, and I thought that I had big hands at the time, but come think of it, no, after I saw some of these other guys get their hands measured, I said, I got small hands. So, you know, control the things that you can control. Don't be worried about being, you know, having to be 6'3", 240, run a 4.4. If you can put it on the film and you can put it on the tape and those coaches show up to come watch you and you give an absolute show, you have no problem. You'll have no problem with them coming up, knocking on your doorstep and say, "Hey, we need you to come play for us."
I think you just made the key statement right there. Is like, if you put on a show and make it impossible for them to ignore you,
absolutely,
you got a shot.
Absolutely, because there's so many great athletes out there, right? There's so many great athletes. You got the state of Texas, you got the state of Georgia, Florida, California, all these incredible states that have stellar football programs. They're looking for a reason not to offer you a scholarship. They're looking for a reason not to bring you on and have you play for them. Wow. Don't give them a reason. Give them every reason in the world to make sure that you're on their field next year.
You know, speaking of your mother that you talked about a while ago, we got another super fan, Elaine Day. I don't know if you remember Miss Elaine, but she says, Trey, you had to play good. Your mother was there.
She's right. And it's funny because every time I missed a tackle or made a bad play, I heard about that too. I heard her. She practiced. It's funny because I got, you know, that stadium holds 13,000 plus people. And it seemed like the only person I was ever able to actually hear was when you said, 17, you suck. Every time I miss a tackle. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. All right. But I tell you what, I lined right back up and knocked the heck out of whoever was in front of me, though. I had to. So it was, you know, that's how it was. You know, I had a family behind me that believed in me. I had coaches behind me that believed in me. Multiple loved ones, multiple friends. And I think that's what still drives me to this day is never wanting to let anyone down. Never wanting to let anyone feel as though I cut them short. You know, whether that be a coach, whether that be another player, my teammate, whether that be a family member, That's something, like I said, still drives me to this day. My wife, I will never allow her to feel like I let her down in any way.
Wow. Have you ever have you made it back to Lowndes to visit with the newer players, or I know life is busy for you right now. Have you had a chance to come back down yet?
Life is certainly busy. It seems as though every time I get a chance to come down there, they're either on a break. Well, and it makes sense, right? Because I'm coaching, right? So when we give our kids a break, obviously Lowndes probably gives their kids a break, and they're off, traveling and all spending time with their family, celebrating things like that. So that's really the only time I've been able to come home as of lately. And for some reason, it just seems like I keep on missing them just because, we're on break, they're on a break, and everybody's just trying to relax and spend time with their family, which is understandable. But no, to your point, I do need to get down there on a week, whether we have like an open week or something like that on a week where I come down there and see the new team, meet the coach. I mean, I know a bunch of the coaches already, but, see them, spend time with them, and look and see how things have just changed. I'm sure that I could look at that film room and weight room and, the field and reminisce all day long. But, I know a lot of that's changed as well.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know what your plans are for Saturday afternoon, 2:45 on August the 21st.
Okay.
We'll bring the team up a little closer.
We'll
to
bring
you.
the team to you. Lowndes
That's right.
is playing
That's right.
in the Corky Kell Classic this year on August 21st, 2:45 against Walton High School.
I'll be there.
In Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I promise I will.
Climate control in August.
Hey, well, it's a lot better than what we had back in the day, right? I remember.
That's right.
I remember those three.
Hey,
I remember those
Trey,
3 days.
Oh yeah. Hey, Trey, I got a couple questions for you. So
Of
obviously
course,
you got a high football IQ, and the only thing I'm questioning is that Hamlin Rec school that you attended. But beyond that, I know that you're very intelligent individual.
Hey, I cried a little bit. I cried a little bit when he chose that school, and that's actually where I went to school too.
I won't lie,
where...
Trey. I think you disappointed a lot of us.
Oh man! Oh man!
Trey,
go ahead.
I was going to say, put in perspective. I mean, here you are, the linebacker. You're the quarterback of the defense. Put it in perspective. How many hours a week were you studying film and doing all of those things in preparation to prepare that defense at the high school level? And then tell us how that prepared you for those college days.
Chris, I'm going to be bluntly honest and straightforward with you. My mom had to come take my phone away from me at 2:00 in the morning because I was watching film on Thursday night or Thursday morning or Friday morning, if you will, at 2:00 in the morning.
Wow.
My mom came and you can ask her. She came in there. She told because what I would do is it's funny because every night I had a necklace of beads that hung from my ceiling fan, the pull strings to turn on the light, and every night when I came home. How they give us our jersey Thursday night to be able to wear Friday during school. I would hang it up on a hanger, and it would basically dangle from my ceiling fan from those beads, so that it was the very first thing that I saw when I woke up in the morning. And it was funny because I was sitting one night, Thursday night, Friday morning, if you will. It was about 1:30, probably 2:00 in the morning. I was watching film. I can't remember who it was. I think it was on Colquitt County, to be honest with you. I took them so serious. I couldn't tell you. I took everybody serious, but Colquitt County was just a team that I wanted to beat. I love Roach Probst to death, but I wanted to beat them.
That hadn't changed.
No, it hadn't changed. Hadn't changed at all. And it's funny. She walked in my room. It was like I guess around 2:00 in the morning, and I thought that my jersey was shielding me because I couldn't see any light or anything like that from the hall. So my jersey must have been shielding the light as I was sitting there watching film on my phone. All of a sudden I hear, "Little boy, don't you need to go to bed?" She said, "You got a game tomorrow." I looked up. My jersey had just turned enough to where I could see the light creeping through, and I could see the shadow image of my mom. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to sleep soon. I just, I got to get this down." I got to get it down. I was all about timing. I was
Yep.
all about being able to make checks. I was all about it, and I needed to know everything. Coach Quinn taught me everything that I wanted and needed to learn, and I was just a sponge between him and the rest of my linebacker coaches that I had throughout my life. I always wanted to learn. I always wanted to understand so that I could literally be a coach out there on the field. And quite honestly, when Coach Tre Jackson was there and he was our defensive coordinator, it's funny because Colquitt County still probably to this day, they still think that we cheated my junior year when we went over there and we beat them. They still think that we cheated. It's so funny because they said, they made a whole fuss about it, and you had somebody up in the stands watching, looking at, signs and stuff like that. It's so funny because that entire week, or that entire game, that whole season, after the third game, they taught me every set we needed to line up in to every set that they came out in. Unless we were running a blitz, I knew every single set we needed to line up in. Base right, Willie left, anything, nickel defense, whatever it was. And they literally, before every play, Coach Tre Jackson, he would just point at me just like this. And that basically meant, hey, Tre, you call the defense.
Wow.
That happens every single play except for the 3 times that we ran blitzes. And on 2 of those blitzes, I came home and tackled Cole Seagraves twice.
Hey, let me stop you right there.
Wow.
and just make this profound statement. If you're a Colquitt County fan tonight, Tre Jackson, our middle linebacker, beat you that night.
Hey, Tre.
Man,
I waited all the whole next year, and guess what I took to the game when we played at Lowndes that next year? Guess what I took?
What's
a pair of binoculars.
It's only right. It's only right to take it.
I waited all year.
That's right.
After that next week, and they said, we cheated. I was like, I know something. I set my binoculars on my nightstand. I waited 1 whole year so that I could wear those binoculars to a football game.
Absolutely, it's only right. You had to troll them. You had to troll them.
Hey, Trace, all right, here's my last question. So,
yes, sir.
Unfortunately, it's been a minute since we put some rings on some kids' fingers, and so you didn't get that experience. But what was your most memorable win in not necessarily Martin Stadium, suited up as a Viking, and why?
Great question.
Most memorable win.
That's hard because you had a lot of them.
That's a very, very tough question. Honestly, I guess I kind of have to go back to I guess that story that we just talked about when we beat Colquitt County. I mean, it was by far it was by far the best game that I ever played. It's funny because I'm typically not the type of person to say, "Oh, I played well," or "Oh, I had a great game," things like that. But because I'm not. But that following summer, when Coach Rush Probst was actually he was my position coach in an All-Star game that I played in.
Is that right?
He was my position coach in an All-Star game. Yeah, it was called Rising Seniors. We played up in Atlanta, and he came up to me, and he said, "You are by far the best defensive player in the state of Georgia." He said, "We couldn't block you all night."
Wow.
He said you had 17 tackles against us. You had 2 sacks on Cole Seagraves. You had 1 pick to begin the game to swing the momentum, and you had the final pick of the game to end the game for us to win, or for y'all to win. And after he said that, I said, "Man, that's got to be by far the best game."
Well, that's a great memory.
As a fan, as just a football fan, not just Lowndes or Colquitt, if you're just a objective football fan sitting in the stadium that night, that was just one fun, intense football game to watch.
It was so emotional too, so emotional, and it's funny because I'll call him Mr. Gray. So Colquitt County had a linebacker at that time. And, it was funny because everyone knew that he was going D1. He was a stellar linebacker, and he was on the same team as Cole Seagraves and everything. And he played in that game. The entire week, I was comparing myself to him because I knew how great of a linebacker he was. He averaged like 15 tackles a game. He was incredible. Everyone knew he was going D1. And after that game, he came over to me and he gave me the biggest hug. And he said, "You guys beat us tonight." And to me, when he did that, that was probably the biggest showmanship of respect that I've ever received.
Yeah.
From anybody. When he came over to me and he hugged, and I had looked up to this. I mean, I still look up to him to this day. We keep in close contact. And it's funny because he came over to me, he gave me a hug. He was the only person that shook my hand, gave me a hug, anything like that on their team. He came over to me, he gave me a hug. He said, "You guys beat us tonight." He told me I had an awesome game. And, you know, I comparing all the other games, it is tough to compare all the other games that we had, you know, that we got the opportunity to play, all the other teams we got. I played some stellar games and, you know, I had a lot of great teammates that made a lot of great plays, and we had so much fun playing together. Whether we were playing Camden County, whether we were playing Valdosta, whether we were playing Tifton, whoever it was, when we went up north and played Grayson, Norcross, whoever, I just got the opportunity and was blessed enough to play in the most memorable games I think any young man can ask for.
Yeah, that's a great story. Those are some of the stories that you guys have as players and coaches have that fans just never hear about. And when we finally hear those stories, we're just sitting back like, man, what an amazing story that is. So I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's awesome.
Absolutely. It was, you know, I enjoyed my time there. Like I said, you know, my teammates, they always got on to me. They said, "Tre, you never come out and party. You never want to do anything with us. You never want to, you know, go out and have fun." And I just wasn't that guy. My fun was on the football field, making plays, whether it be at practice or in games, having a great time with my teammates, jumping up and down. I mean, it's just that those are the memories that I have. Those are the memories I'll have, and I'll carry them with me.
Tre, I've got some memories of you too, because I actually became a Tre Jackson fan. Believe it or not, I became a fan of the position of linebacker when you were there.
I appreciate that.
And I learned a little bit about football just watching you play. You know, I always, you know, you were a defensive guy. You knew defense. You directed the defense. But I learned something about football that I didn't know before watching you play, and that's the fact that you knew the offense better than you knew the defense, in my opinion, because you could direct your senior year. You would direct those kids. It was almost like you were moving them in position with your head, with your eyes. You were constantly just on them, just getting people back in position. And I said, you know why that guy's able to do that? Because he knows offense. And I've watched a lot of linebackers since then. I'm a real fan of Thomas Davis. He played linebacker. I don't know if you got to watch him any last year. He's down in Miami now.
Yep, I know exactly what that is. Yep.
He played a little physical like you, but you brought something to the game that made me learn to love that position. And I was really a Tre Jackson fan, and you taught me a lot about football and the position of linebacker, because without you, the way you directed that team, man, your senior year you had it, and I'm a huge fan.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I mean, it's it just all went into the preparation. You know, watching film till. I'm sorry, you know, everybody's like, "You did what?" I would watch film at 2:00 in the morning. I mean, as soon as I got off, you know, as soon as I got out of practice, my mom would get the little email notification on Huddle that says Coach Terry Quinn sent you your film. I pulled up my phone. I was watching it, you know, on the way home. You know, it was all about the preparation and understanding what the offense can do to us, that I could make sure that my team, that my guys were in the best possible position for them to make a play. And whether it had to be me that made the play and overlap, or just simply do my responsibility, or whether I had to line them up in the proper position to be able to be successful, that was my job. That's what I learned to do. And fortunately, we were pretty successful at it.
Tre, you don't understand how much of a compliment that was from Billy Pearson right then. You taught him about football, because he's one of the best coaches in the stands that
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I'd follow that man anywhere. I believe it.
So listen, we're going to fast forward a little bit. We went down memory lane about your time at Lowndes. So we're going to fast forward a little bit. You go to Georgia Tech. You graduate with a business degree with an emphasis in finance. You had a chance while you were there playing football to get your master's degree in program management, right?
Yes.
And so you're kind of busy guy nowadays. You got a full-time job. Where are you working nowadays?
I do. I work for a company. We are actually a global company. We're in 77 different countries. We're based in Japan, but my headquarters is here in Marietta, Georgia. And he's certainly the loudest. I appreciate that.
Wow.
And,
Billy has groupies.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. No, yeah. So I work for a company called YKK. We basically are the headquarters for the Western Hemisphere. I'll say Western Hemisphere just to kind of generalize it. I am a manager and industry leader for YKK. I do a lot of traveling in the sales department. Basically, I do a lot of traveling with our sales reps, whether it be to different countries. I travel to Nicaragua, I travel to Mexico, out on the West Coast in California. I'll get an opportunity to continue traveling to places like the Caribbean islands, Honduras, things like that, and get to continue knowing our customers, developing our business. We are a manufacturing company. We manufacture down in Macon, Georgia, and we've been down there. We're actually what's called a campus in the woods. That's why I love going down there, because you see deer. You drive in, you see deer everywhere. It makes you feel like you need to take your rifle with you. Honestly, it's just you see a couple 8 points out there. You're like, I'm gonna come back and get you, buddy, after lunch.
Hey, Billy and I will join you.
After lunch, you're mine.
I'll teach you how to shoot a bow, and we can sneak in there. They won't ever know we shot.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Look, I'll bring the corn. Don't worry. I'm telling you, no,
this has turned into the Viking Nation outdoor show.
Man, no, it's an incredible campus. So if you guys ever get a chance to take a tour, honestly, just it's something like I've never seen before. When I first went there, and every time I go there, I tend to learn about something new. But I get the opportunity to work with a lot of teams across the world. I work with teams in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Shanghai, a lot of teams in Europe, different things like that, to help facilitate business coming back and forth between the Western and Eastern hemispheres. We work with top brands like Wrangler, Levi, Gap, Nike, all kinds of incredible brands that are definitely notable. One of my very favorites is Ariat. I like Ariat. And I get to travel out to San Francisco to see them quite often, and it's just it's an incredible opportunity. I didn't get to travel to any of these places before I joined this company. I've never been to California, never been to Mexico, any of these places, and it really gives you an opportunity to open up your eyes as to what's going on around the world. I mean, you pay attention to how much a gallon or how much a barrel of gas is going up, or of crude oil is going up to. You pay attention to imports and exports. I work a lot managing, ROI, OPIs and P&L statements and things like that to help make sure that, my company and my industries are continuing to enhance, grow our business, grow our revenue, and make sure that we continue evolving to, retain business, retain relationships, and make sure that we're the best ones out there to offer our product to. So it's been incredible. I've been with them for a little bit over 2 years, and I work with a lot of really intelligent people. My predecessor had actually been there for 44 years, and he actually retired this past April. And I get to work with some really knowledgeable people. They've been there. YKK is the type of company that takes really good care of you. People there have worked for 35, 32. I think the longest I've heard is 47, almost 48 years. His name's Ken Miyakawa. He's up in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. And we just got some phenomenal people that have intelligence that is just through the roof. So anytime I get an opportunity to learn, I sit down and I learn with them, because I know in the long run, that's what I need to do in order to enhance myself and to continue enhancing the company. So incredible company that I've been blessed to work for. And they've been incredibly caretaking me, especially with the opportunity to also be a football coach.
That's awesome, dude. Listen,
Extremely impressive, Trey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
not that
Thank
you're busy enough, but listen, you're married. How long you been married now? A couple years?
She's gone, right? A little bit over 2 years, I think.
I got you. We don't need exact dates.
I know. Yeah, she ran upstairs, I think. So we're all in the clear. No, yeah, I've been married a little bit over 2 years, and yeah, I've been married, like I said, over 2 years. We don't have any children yet. We got 2 dogs. We bought our first house here in Canton, Georgia. So we live here in Canton, Georgia. Bought our first house. Definitely one of the greatest things I think I would be able to say that I was able to accomplish is being able to buy my first house at 24 years old. And, being able to pay for it, have a full-time job, be able to, take care of a family, and also, give back to my community too. As a lot of people did for me when I was back at Lowndes, I've got to give back to the community that I'm part of. I've got to give back to these young men and women, because honestly, if you don't, you're stripping them of opportunity, of development, and of experience. And honestly, I learned that at a really young age when people gave back to me, because I know all of you know who Dariet Perry is.
Sure.
Dariet would drive. I lived in Hayhire, Georgia, and y'all, and I don't know where you fellas live. I'm sure y'all live
pretty close to Hayhire.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So y'all know about how far Lowndes High School is from Hayhire, probably about 30 minutes or so. Dariet Perry lived basically by the high school, and he would drive out to Hayhire to come pick me up, take me back to the high school so that we could run stadiums, do drill work, lift weights, whatever we needed to do that day. And then he would take me right back home to Hayhire and then come back, home later that night. He gave back, and he's not the only one. He's just, he would give back to his community so much. He still does to this day. And to me, that helped me become the player that I am, that I was, as well as the young man that I am today. Because, giving back to people, you don't need anything for it. You don't need to be paid for it. It's just the simple gratification of being able to say, I helped someone today. I helped someone get better today. And that's what I had a lot of people do for me, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Well, speaking of giving back, you're a busy young man. You got a full-time job. You're traveling all over. You're a globetrotter. You got a new family, but you found some time starting last year, right? To kind of stick your toe into the water, into the coaching waters. As a community coach, you were 8th grade coach last year for Cherokee High School, or Cherokee County,
middle school county. Yep.
That's right. And so you did such a good job. You got asked to teach but coach in an all-star game, and you got the attention of Alpharetta High School, and they've asked you to help them with their defense as community coach this year, right?
Yeah. They actually asked me to. It's funny, the head coach of the all-star team. His name's Chuck Wiley. He actually played in the league for a long time for the Minnesota Vikings. He came up to me on the very first day, and he said, "Hey, I want you to run the defense." And I looked at him and I said, "What?" and let me be bluntly honest too, gentlemen. I never thought of myself as a coach. Never. I always thought of myself as a player, as a student that wanted to learn, that needed to learn, that needed to have that needed to be that sponge. So now, me squeezing out my sponge to these other young men is very different for me. It's very different, and it's certainly a challenge. It's certainly enjoyable, but it's very different because I wasn't used to it, and it's caused me to step out of my comfort zone a little bit and show them the parts and pieces of the greatest coaches I had that were the most influential and the most I guess favorable and productive to me as a player. So I've kind of thought about it in my head. I need to take all these great coaches that I had the opportunity to play for, bring out all their best traits, all their best assets, and project that onto the young men I get coached. And that's what I got the opportunity to do when I coached that All-Star team that year. And we did well, and the coach, I guess, is really really impressed. And he went back to his high school staff and he said, "Hey, you need to get this guy on your staff as soon as possible." And he told me he said that, and I said, "Look, I don't know, I don't know what that entails. I've never been in this position before. I'm not sure." I said, "But I am the type of person that I'm gonna take things at face value, and I'm going to put my best foot forward if it makes sense." And they offered me a linebacker coach position for their varsity team, and I've loved it and enjoyed it ever since. I get my guys out there a little bit earlier every day before we come together as a team. My guys are incredibly responsible, incredibly intelligent, and they're willing to work, and that's what I appreciate about them. So I let them know every single time I get a chance to.
That's awesome, man. Listen, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We've kept you almost an hour. Listen, last question for you.
Sure,
You,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So it's a kind of a twofer. It's is full-time coaching in your future, and if so, how long will it be before we see you in a crimson coaching shirt, roaming the sidelines at Martin Stadium?
Hey, I again, being bluntly honest, if Coach DeBose came up to me and asked me to join his staff, it wouldn't take me but a second to say, "Sir, I'll be on the first thing smoking down there."
Wow.
It wouldn't. No, I love giving back to my community, and to be able to be blessed enough to give back to the community that gave back to me would be a dream come true. It really would. It'd be a blessing. I would take it. I would make every day like it was my last, and there would be nobody that could tell me anything at that point. Nobody, because I'd give them all. But as for your first question, I don't know. I really, really enjoy it. I also really, really enjoy my full-time job as well. I get to work with some incredible people. I get to learn. I'm in a company where I can grow very well also. I have a pretty bright track in front of myself as long as I continue to grind, keep my nose to the grindstone, learn and develop as a young man and learn the business. But, to coach full time, I think that would really be the greatest challenge for me, but also the greatest pleasure for me.
Sure.
And I don't think that God would hand that to me if He didn't think that I could pick it up and run with it.
Well, listen, man, we appreciate you joining us tonight, being very generous with your time. So
Absolutely.
I've got
My pleasure.
one parting comment for you before we say goodbye to you. Okay.
Sure.
If Lowndes were to meet Alpharetta on the football field, we expect you to know we expect you to remember.
I'm not coming to the game. I won't be.
Call in sick.
I can't make it today. My tire blew out. I can't make it. No, man.
Trey, I gotta say, hearing you speak and you giving back. Let me tell you something. I think the people that you're giving back to, they don't realize exactly what they have in you. And you are an exemplary product of Lowndes County and Lowndes High School. And man, other than that one little thing where y'all still can't figure out how to fix a rambling wreck, you've got it going on.
Chris, I appreciate that, man. I really, really do. I've really been blessed, with an incredible family, incredible opportunities that have been set in front of me, incredible challenges that I had to grow as a young man and push through. I really can't say anything else about it other than I've really, I've really been in God's hands, and He's really instructed me. I can't tell you how much, because there have been some things there have been all kinds of bricks and adversity laid thrown and pushed against me, but fortunately I've been able to overcome a lot of things, and I've been privileged to be from such a incredible and passionate and influential place and historic place like Lowndes County, and that's something that no one will ever take from me, and cannot ever take from me. So, men and women of Lowndes Nation, be proud of where you're from. Be exemplary. Exemplary, just like Chris said, because that's the standard. Coming out of Lowndes County, that's how we all are. That's how we're all bred. We're bred for great things. That's what I truly believe, and that's something that's we're always going to be able to hold with us to the day we leave this earth. And I just appreciate every single one of you gentlemen's comments. To all the fans that have commented and watched today, I appreciate your time. It was certainly a pleasure to be a part of this, a pleasure and a privilege. And if there's ever anything that I can do to get back to the community or help anyone, please feel free to reach out to me in any way, shape, or time, and I'll be here.
Man, thank you so much for your time tonight. We need to get you in touch with Jamie DeBose so you guys can start talking. We certainly hope to see you at Mercedes-Benz on August 21st.
I will be there. And I'll be supporting the Crimson and White.
All right, man. Thank you
All
so
right.
much,
Thank you, Tre.
Tre Jackson, former linebacker
All right.
Lowndes.
Gentlemen, take care.
Night, man.
All right,
Thank
you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night, Trey.
Man, what an articulate, smart, and impressive young
Wow.
man.
More than just football smart.
Absolutely.
Football smart. We give him a hard time about going to Georgia Tech, but there was a reason why he was able to get into Georgia Tech. Very, very smart young man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a tough school to get into.
Absolutely.
So guys, we got a few minutes left tonight. So I wanted to get your opinion on something. And before we get that, let me remind our audience, guys, if you want to enter for your chance to win, go ahead and in the comments now. It's your last chance to go ahead and put in the comments #1Lowndes for your chance to win the Stuff the Bucket drawing for the Winn-Dixie Wing Bar. So later on at the end of the show. I got a question for you guys. Is Region 17A and really all of South Georgia, are we in for an arms race as far as facilities goes? It just appears that way. Lowndes is ramping up. Lowndes is ramping up. Tift County is about to build a indoors facility of some sort. I'm sure Camden's not far behind because they're going to keep up with everybody else. We already see what Colquitt County's doing. I don't think they're going to stop there. I think they're going to continue to push the envelope. Are we in an arms race? And if so, what's next?
I don't think we're in an arms race. I just think it's football. I just think that's what football, not just in Region 17A, but what it is in all of Georgia. And all across the nation, it is. I see it in Texas. Those schools have some sort of indoor or covered practice facility. Of course, Moultrie's first in this area to do it. Atlanta schools, there's a couple of schools getting them there. So I just see it being the norm. But it's you have to have it to compete, because we all know that the heat's bad down here, but the thunderstorms are even worse. Right. So you're gonna lose the chance to practice on afternoons like we had last week. So let's just put it like this: everybody's gonna have it eventually. So I don't think it's necessarily a race right now. I just think it's what it is what it is. It's not going to make us that much better short term, but long term, I think you'll see the benefits for everybody.
I got you. Chris, what say you?
I agree with Billy. Here's the great thing about what we're bringing to Lowndes with this indoor facility is these coaches aren't going to send the players in there unless it's inclement weather. So I love seeing these teams like South Florida coming up here. They're not used to our humidity.
No.
And so by the second half, we're wearing them down. So I don't see us deviating and getting away from that unless it needs to be done. But it also extends the practice hours if need be with lighting and all those good things. So, I just think we're keeping up with the Joneses.
I gotcha. Okay. So it's interesting. I did not expect that answer from you two. I really didn't, to be honest with you. Personally, I think we are. I think we're in a full-fledged arms race. We're going to have a very, very nice facility. We're going to see Valdosta, I think, finally get their act together after this year, and I think they're going to eventually build one. And I think it's going to trickle down to the smaller programs as well. We're already starting to see some of that now because we've got AA programs over in Thomasville that is putting not put it in, but they've already put in artificial turf. I mean, Berrien has built a new stadium. We're seeing a lot of facilities upgrades. I think was it either Peach County or Crisp County? One of those built a brand new stadium with artificial turf. Sylvester, Worth County has upgraded their stadium. It just feels like everybody's putting a lot of effort and money into upgrading their facilities. That's just an observation on my part. So,
it could go either way. I kind of agree with you that it is to the point that you are trying to get it so that you can better your team. But like Chris said, we are acclimated better to the humidity.
sure.
You see those teams from Florida. Everybody's like, well, they're Florida, they're further south. But I don't know. It's a different type of heat, and they're just not used to it. They're not in shape like we are. So I don't see us using it every day. Like Chris said, I think it's going to be just on certain days where maybe it's actually too hot or that it's thunder and lightning would push us up underneath the stands. That's what it's going to be. Normally, instead of us going up underneath the stands, we're going to now go to the indoor multi-purpose facility, and use it.
Well, we were talking about one of you guys was talking about playing these out-of-state teams with the humidity, that kind of stuff, giving us an advantage. Ray Oliver asked an interesting question. I think I understand his question. Are we always going to play teams from out of state? And so I think the answer is yes. I mean, we started under Randy McPherson. We started to play more and more out-of-state teams, but they were mostly close to us. Right, we brought up Plant one year, and so we just started to see us kind of dipping our toe into the water. Jamie DuBose comes in, and he's actively going out and looking for these powerhouse out-of-state teams, and that brings me to what we were kind of teasing at the beginning of the show. I was told this week that Lowndes this year has signed a deal to play on ESPN, one of the ESPN channels that hadn't been announced yet, against Lake Gibson. So the stadium is going to be packed that night. Guys, if you haven't bought season tickets, now's the time to buy them, right? So what do you guys think about that? Because Coach DuBose has made no bones about it, right? He's been very public about it. He wants nationally televised games against these marquee programs. And this is just year 2 for him. He's kind of constrained by the existing contracts that he has now. But starting next year, when he's got a blank slate and he can put teams that he wants on there, it's going to be the sky's the limit. This guy wants to bring in major national programs and have us play on national TV. What do you guys think about stuff like that?
I'm all for it. And I think Coach DuBose, I don't believe he's just looking at a state championship. I think he's got national championship in his in his sights.
Yeah, Rush Prost, he did it real well at Colquitt County. He started playing the Hoover, which I mean he has that relationship, but then he goes on and gets IMG and Heritage, all national teams that have that spotlight. I think what we're seeing. We're not seeing us trying to copy. It is just what football has become. The big schools, the powerhouse schools, like a Lowndes, like a Colquitt, like a Lake Gibson that are out there. You're just going to see us play more of those teams because that's what the fans want. Me as a fan, I want to see if we can play those teams out in Texas.
Right.
I want to see if we could, play those, big schools that you see about on TV. I want to play them as a fan because I want to know as a fan where we stack up against those teams. And like Chris said, national championship hopes. We want rings, but we like the big rings.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I'm looking forward to it myself. Now, when we start playing these games, like I think Michael Ward says, Don Bosco Prep. I mean, that's the big boy league.
Oh, yeah.
Right. LSL, Don Bosco Prep, Servite, St. Francis Academy, St. Thomas,
Mater D,
Quadas,
IMG. It would be great to see an IMG come to Martin Stadium, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But are we ready to step onto the national stage? We're going to see.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
So, speaking of Michael Ward, he asked a very interesting question. Let me get your take on this. I already know the answer to it, but it's a very interesting question. Do you all think that there will be, ever be an indoor high school football stadium in Georgia soon with a retractable roof, etc.? I don't think so because I think it's just too cost prohibitive.
You don't see it in college a whole lot, so I don't think you'll see it in high school anytime, probably in my lifetime.
Can you imagine the cost of what you would have to charge for tickets to pay and a Coke that's going to be $10 or a cup?
Well, what would have to happen is something that happened like at McKeecher. You'd have to have somebody leave money to build a facility like that, somebody with a lot of money. Chris Bisher would have to pass on and leave some of his fortunes to be able to afford something like that.
Chris Bisher,
listen, Billy, listen, Billy, you can start now. You're remodeling your house. Just start buying extra supplies each time, and then you can start the construction yourself.
Absolutely.
And we'll name. Hey, I bet you they will rename it. They could name it Pearson Concrete Facility or whatever.
But guys, we are only 37 days away from kickoff against Walton High School. You can start to feel it in the air now.
Oh yeah, I'm starting to get a few phone calls. My best friend, who's a longtime Cat fan, he and I were talking. I had to go to Atlanta today, and he was talking about, we could go up. We could watch Lowndes, then we could turn around and watch Valdosta play Warner Robins that night. Maybe even watch Parkview play that morning. He's planning it, so he's on the other side, but he feels the energy of Lowndes right now. He feels good about us, so he's ready for football. I'm ready for football. We're starting to talk about it amongst friends, so it's here.
Absolutely, and it's kind of refreshing to hear stories like that. I wish personally in this town, I wish we got to the point where everybody supported both programs. I really do, with the exception of one game out of the year.
And I try to. I mean, I really do, because a lot of people don't know it, but I actually spent half my schooling at Valdosta City Schools, and then in sixth grade transferred to Lowndes. My parents made a move out into the county, and I moved. So I do have some love. I had a brother that played football for Valdosta. My sister and brother both went to Valdosta. I also have another sister who had attended Lowndes. So we were split down the middle. My dad was a Lowndes guy. My mom was a Valdosta. So I do have love for both sides. and I like it when we can get along. I hate that they're going through what they're doing, but I have a lot of friends that are still fans of Valdosta, and we hang out together. So we talk about it. We love football. So
absolutely, and at the end of the day, we're still Title Town.
Yeah.
With the advent of, I guess with more schools installing artificial turf, do you think we're going to reach a point where there just won't be any schools left with real grass on Friday nights?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
I got to tell you, I love our stadium at Martin Stadium. I love the artificial turf. There's nothing like it. It's beautiful year round. But I do miss the smell of fresh grass on a Friday night.
You get a little closer to the field than I do, so.
There's just something about it, the fresh smell of grass on a Friday night. But listen, to each his own, and progress keeps the world moving forward. So anyway, it would be cool. It would be cool to see a indoor stadium at the high school level. I got to admit, that would be cool. It would solve a lot of problems. I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
No.
Probably not in our lifetime.
That's exactly right. One last question before I let you guys go for the night. So I put this out there as a teaser, as a informal poll on the Viking Nation this week, and got a lot of great feedback about this idea of having an ESPN-like game day / game night show, pregame show on Friday nights this fall. And a lot of people, man, I was kind of surprised by how much support it's got. What do you guys think about? What's your honest gut opinion? What do you guys, is it time for a high school program like that? Not all at one time.
Listen, the more we can get fans fired up and engaged in the game, I'm all for that. Let's get it from different perspectives. I mean, what's going on? What are the different parts? Because it's not just the team, the football team that takes the field on Friday nights. It's the fans, it's the band, it's the cheerleaders, it's all of it. And to get people more involved, the more that they know is going on, hey, let's get some support for the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I get fired up on Friday nights. I tailgate every home game. I've got my lawn crew with Michael Broadwater out mowing my grass, getting my spot all ready. We put up tents. We put up flags. We eat good. We're into it. I'm kind of like Chris. Anything to get the fans involved, get them hyped up. It's more about just those few minutes on the field, because I've been to a lot of football games, a lot of high school football games, a lot of college football games, several pro games, and the pregame is as exciting at most of those as the game itself. You go to Sanford Stadium, and there's something going on outside in the tailgates, over by the bookstore, up on the dog walk. Everything is just hyped up. So if you could get a show that really gets us hyped up, let the fans know that what's to be expected out of the team we're playing, yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah, and so what I envisioned is doing something like that and basically cutting it off right there at the 7:30 hour to basically focus everybody's attention back on the Bridgemen, because that's about the time the Bridgemen come onto the field and do their pregame show, right? So what I had in mind would not interfere with what the Bridgemen do at all. So those are my thoughts. As we exit the program tonight, Luke reminds us that Vikings are selling discount cards again. Contact a player; they're only $20, and that's a major fundraiser for the program. Maybe you guys can answer this question. Claudia Hunt asked, where can I get my official LHS merchandise, my LHS shirts? I really want some to wear for game day and game night. So, Claudia, there's I don't know if there's an official
There is official place, and that is in the ticket sales at the that's
talking about the Touchdown Club merchandise booth.
That is as official as you can get before the game. It is at the Board of Education where we pick up our season tickets.
That's right.
During the game, the Touchdown Club, that's as official as you can get.
And Chris, I want to give you a couple of minutes here to plug the Bridgman merchandise store as well. That's located there at the stadium as people enter the stadium.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. So, we got a wide range of, hats and various apparel to support the Bridgman, and that Bridgman store right now is located on the band practice field. So, this coming week we've got pre-camp. The students will go 9 to 5. The following week they go 8 to 8:30. And so, please feel free to come out, support the Bridgman, come out and watch them practicing out on the field in those evenings after dinner. And the band store will be located there. The previous person mentioned about discount cards for the football team. Our discount cards will go on sale next week as well. And I'm excited about this season. It's going to be awesome. All the props and stages and all those sorts of things are kind of getting into place. And I want fans of the program to come out and support these students, because by the time a week from Monday rolls around, they've already got 30-plus hours of hard work out in the hot sun in. Come out and see the results are taking place on that Monday night, the 26th, I believe it is.
That's right. Well, guys, that's all the time we have left. Before I let you go, though, we got to do the drawing. All right, so here we go. Who's going to win the drawing tonight? Round and round she goes. I need to start playing some music during this drawing, something like that. Here we go. Lisa Cannington. Congratulations, Lisa. You are the winner.
Congratulations.
That's nice.
So, Lisa, as always, after the show, I will send you a message through Facebook Messenger to let you know what you have to do to claim your prize. Congratulations, Lisa Cannington. Thank you so much for watching the program tonight. So, guys, that's it. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Go ahead and rest up, because next week we got another special guest that's going to give us a different perspective. I'm just going to throw that tease out there. You're going to love this guest next week, guys. So in the meantime, go ahead and continue to buy your Corky Kell football tickets, because that game is coming up very, very quickly, August 21st at 2:45. Gentlemen, thank you for being a super fan, and thank you for joining us on the show tonight. And for all you fans out there, the guy up in the upper right is Chris Bisher. Maybe your left. I can't remember. But we got Chris Bisher on behalf of Bubba Price. I almost called you Bubba
Lord.
Price.
I don't know if I smell that
Oh, gosh. There you go.
Chris Bisher, make sure you call Bubba and tell him that I called Billy Pearson. So let me start that goodbye segment one more time. On behalf of Chris Bisher, Billy Pearson, and the Viking Nation, I'm Larry Godwin. Thank you so much for joining our broadcast tonight. We'll see you guys next week.
Go Vikings.
Go Vikings.